Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast, your one-stop shop for television, movie, video games, comic books, book reviews, and more. Now, without further ado, here's Steven and Mike.
Hello there. So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Welcome, everybody, to the Two Geeks and a Microphone New Year's Day show. I almost said podcast, but we're really podcasting and live streaming to a whole bunch of stuff. So I am your co-host, Mr. Stephen Boster, along with my illustrious, wonderful co-host, Mr. Michael Shanks. Mike, say hey to everybody.
Good morning to all you geeks out there in Geekdom Land, and Happy New Year. I know if you're going to listen to the recorded podcast, it won't come out until the, 7th. I don't even know what Friday's date is.
Right.
So this is coming to you from the past, I guess, at that point.
Right.
But Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Mike.
Happy New Year, Stephen. It's actually been a pretty good year. I mean, especially for us in podcasting.
Yes, absolutely. It's been fabulous. So we are coming up. What is it? The 15th is our 1 year anniversary.
Yes, the 15th is our 1 year anniversary. We will do a anniversary episode on that morning. We haven't decided a time yet. We might want to push that maybe till afternoon or evening or something to see if we can get more viewers for that. Something for us to talk about off the show, though.
Right.
So we haven't figured out all those details, but on the 15th we will definitely have a live episode celebrating our 1 year anniversary. We got some special things planned for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, just have to tune in for that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going on and some special little things that we have for that. So if you're able to join us, keep on the lookout on January 15th. It will be our 1 year little spectacular. It'll be spectacular for us.
Hopefully it's spectacular for the listeners. I hope.
Right. Yeah, we've got some neat stuff lined up. And I don't know about you guys, but if you have not seen our most recent episode with Mark Anthony Austin, where we talk about Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett series, we talk about episode 1. He is hysterical. And I'm just gonna spill the beans about something here real quick about that. Is before we started the show, Mark leans in on his microphone and into the camera. He goes, "Hey, nobody said I had to be sober for this, right?"
Yeah, he said, "No, it didn't state in the emails that I had to be sober for this, right?"
Right.
And I started laughing. I says, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Technically, I never did stipulate that.
Right.
I hadn't really thought of that." But nonetheless, he was fun. It was a blast.
He was. So if you get a chance to listen to that, everybody, it was actually a blast. It was a lot of fun, and got some really interesting insights, even from Mark, just his opinion and his viewpoint on the show, and so it was good. I appreciated that. So let's see.
Mark is a good guest. He really is.
He is a great guest. I really enjoyed it. Well, real quick, a couple of some housekeeping things today. We are going to talk about Wheel of Time Season 1 on Amazon Prime. We are going to discuss that. But if you want to check out more about Two Geeks and a Microphone, our website is twogeeksmike.com. Two Geeks Mike, the number 2 geeksmike.com. That's kind of our hub for everything else. So for our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch page, everything is there. If you want to contact us, our email is show@twogeeksmike.com. And if you want to support us, buy us a coffee on Ko-fi. It's funny, everybody, it's kind of like Patreon, but it's a little bit different and stuff. So yeah, you can buy us a coffee Ko-fi.com/2 geeks, and we're on there, and our page is on there, and so check that out. Also, we have our merch page that you can get all kinds of fun 2 geek stuff like shirts and mugs and all that. So if you'd like to help support us with that as well. Okay, man. Well, so what's the game plan for today, Mr. Mike?
Well, this is more your topic.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one that you wanted to do, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to oblige to this.
Thank you.
I had never heard of the Wheel of Time until you brought it up.
Mhm.
This was completely new to me. I thought it was pretty good. I for the most part enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I've never read the books, so I
Right.
had no, anticipations for this whatsoever. There,
So
yep, Stephen.
Yep, here's
Yeah.
my book.
No.
Eye of the World is book 1. I've only read, well, technically I started reading it, then I got the audiobook, and then I listened to it while I was, doing yard work or, riding on my little,
Right, of
my
course.
tractor mower thing and my little John Deere. And
Oh, do you actually have a John Deere?
I do have a little John Deere mower. Yeah. A
Oh,
riding.
cool. Well, Lee Leininger would be very proud of you.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. I miss him. Someone posted Lee Lanier was the church that Mike and I grew up in high school. While we were in high school, the Lee Lanier was a great guy. He was our neighbor across the street where I lived, and a great guy. And someone posted him singing "Oh Holy Night" and shared it. That
shared
was
it.
you. You
Yeah,
shared it, yeah, and I appreciate that. It was great to
I
see him.
I try to share that every Christmas because growing up, we always went to Christmas Eve services at FBC, and Lee always sang, "O Holy Night," and it was kind of a tradition. Christmas doesn't begin till Lee sings "O Holy Night," so
Right, right. So
I try to
so
share it every Christmas.
yeah, so there's our little squirrel about John Deere. He always drove John
Yeah,
Deeres,
he
and he
did.
encourages to get John Deeres and that kind of a thing. So absolutely. So then, so I would listen to the audiobook. Now, the audiobook we were talking is almost 30 hours. I mean, this book is, we were saying how many pages, like 700 some odd pages, and it comes with a glossary. So, you got a little dictionary in the back to help you with who's who and what's what and that kind of a thing. So,
So now you've only listened to the audio. You haven't read through the whole book yet, right?
that is correct. That's correct. I started reading it and I thought, oh, I'll get the audio book because I have an Audible credit and
Sure.
I'll listen to it. So I started doing both. I would watch and read at the
Oh,
same
cool.
time for a little while, up to
You
the
mean
point
listen and read? You mean
well,
listen and read?
listen and read. Did I say watch and
Okay.
read?
Yeah,
That's
you said
fine.
watch. Well,
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, we are talking about a TV series, so I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify.
No, I
Yeah.
would listen and read. And then I was like, well, I still want to, I was so involved in the story and I really enjoyed the story. I was like, well, why don't I do it while I'm working or why don't I, do it while I'm doing stuff around the house or whatever. So that's how I finished it. So I didn't have the book. And then it was kind of hard to find where I was for some of that. So, so I enjoy the story. Now, one of our listeners, Andrew, you're probably listening. Andrew, his dad is the one who introduced me to the Wheel of Time.
Oh,
And
okay.
he had listened to all the audiobooks, not just once, and I want to say twice that he's listened to them. And I was talking with him last night, and he's starting to listen to them again because
wow.
of the show. And I got his opinion about the show and stuff like that. So pretty pumped about that discussion a little bit with him because he knows the whole story, the whole big picture of the Wheel of Time.
Maybe we should be getting him on as a guest.
We probably should. We
Sounds
probably
like
should.
somewhat of an expert on this, and
Yes.
I'm nowhere near an expert on this.
I'm not either. But here's the thing, being that I've read the first book and I was really pumped about this show, I wanted to get your opinion as someone who I knew hasn't read the book. What did you feel about the show? Because Before we went on line live here, you had mentioned, man, there's some people who like the books that are really upset about some things in the show.
Yeah, I watched some YouTube videos, and it appears that a lot of the fans of the book series are really, really upset. And some of the videos I watched, I mean, I I I I don't have a stake in this claim, so, because I haven't read the books. All I know is the TV series, what I've seen on the TV series. But, just by some of the descriptions that some of the, YouTubers had used, I was like, "Okay, I could see why you might be upset about that." They excluded some, pretty interesting details from the books outside the television series that, yeah, I think might have enhanced it a little bit, but
Mhm.
there is this thought that, would it be too much for television too? Um,
Right.
so so I was really interested in seeing, as somebody who at least has experienced at least the first book, what your take was on, the book versus the television series. So, I for the most part enjoyed it, and I will tune in for season 2, because I want to see what happens. I did have a couple little complaints, um, coming
Okay.
into this, as the season went through. Um, but overall, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you kind of cut in and out for just a second, but I think you're okay now. Oh, maybe not. Steven, are you there?
Went out.
Oh,
Am I back?
yeah, you're cutting in. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
some
I
of it.
think
Yeah, some of it is my thing. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. My internet connection's kind of goofy, and my audio thing went kind of wonky there for a second. So everything's
Sounds
pulling.
like I'm
What'd
sorry,
you
go
say?
ahead. I said, sounds like I might have to do a little editing on this episode.
Right. Sorry about that. Sorry
That's all right.
at all. All right. So yeah. So okay. So how do you want to approach this? Let's talk about our review of it. Um, overall, and then we'll kind of get into our spoiler territory like we always do. So we kind of give our reviews and stuff like that.
Okay.
So out of 5, let's say out of 5 rotations of the Wheel of Time. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, I'm just teasing. Let's do let's see. Oh, Brenda's saying the internet is in Montana is wonky because of the snow. Maybe. It
It's
may be,
possible.
by golly.
It
Or
was 60 something degrees here yesterday.
are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
It was -11 last night, and
Holy
this morning
crap.
it is -16.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what the temperature is this morning. And look, I know it was supposed to drop, and we got some rain last night, and I think they were talking snow for parts of the state, and I don't know. I think we're maybe heading into real winter weather soon,
Yeah,
which I'm not looking forward to.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay. Sorry, Aes Sedai. We'll say out of 5 Aes Sedai. So those are
Okay.
the women in the women spellcasters or the women magicians or something like that. So Brenda says 38.
It's 38 degrees right now.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. So I give this show actually 4 out of 5 Aes Sedai. Oh, that kind of
Really?
rhymes. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It was not perfect, but for as much as they were really trying to squeeze in such a rich story, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get all of that into season 1 and try to do some incredible world building. I really, in all openness, I thought they did a really good job. They really did.
Cool.
Um, they did change some things in the story a little bit, and they introduced some stuff from the other books early. So a part of me was like, well, oh, okay, I get it. You know, you're trying to to get a story going. You're trying to build it, and they had some other things happen that they were trying to make the best of the situation and stuff. So in filming, so in all openness, it was a worthy first season. I thought it was really good. It was a worthy first season. Um, I'm looking forward to kind of watching it again now that I've seen the whole thing. I thought what they did with Loyal, the Ogier, the big guy, was great.
I like him.
He's one of my favorite characters in the story. And so it's really interesting with him. I didn't think they used him enough, but that's just because I like him as a character.
Well, we all have our what's the word I'm looking for?
Our favorites,
yeah, that wasn't the word I was looking for, but
preferences.
No, that's still not the right word. I don't know. It's a penguin that fell off the iceberg.
Oh yeah, right. That should be another shirt we should make.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be bad. No, we all have our prejudices.
Oh, okay.
I think that
Sure.
was what I was looking for. Because you liked him a lot, so you'd prefer to see him more in the episode. But
Right.
did he play more of a role in the books?
Yeah, he's a lot more.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I think that's fair. I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Well, any of the characters, they were trying to do what they could with them. You know what I mean? There's so many characters to introduce, and try to give you a sense of the world itself. And I get that. And you can only do so much. I mean, good night. If the audiobook is 30 hours and you're trying to do what was it, 8 episodes, each one an hour, you're trying to take a book that is 800 pages and trying to do 100 pages per episode. If you're just bring it up, you can't do it. Not with Wheel of Time. You just can't. And so I think they're doing the best they can. I wish people would stop saying, "Oh, it's Amazon's version of Game of Thrones."
I heard that a lot. I did. Now I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so again, I don't have a dog in that fight either.
Right.
So I have no idea if this is comparable to Game of Thrones or not. Only in the aspect it's kind of this medieval, take.
It's fantasy. It's sci-fi fantasy technically,
Right.
Because they give you a glimpse of it in one of the episodes. The last, I guess it was episode 8, where they kind of did they did the flashback. Ooh, I better stop. I'll wait.
Yeah. We haven't released the spoiler alert yet. So
right. So let me stop there. But
because actually, I do want to talk about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically, it is sci-fi. It is a sci-fi fantasy.
Agreed.
Film, or TV show or book series genre-wise. It does get plugged into, like, if you look at the spine, it's Tor fantasy. So it gets put into the fantasy category. And mostly I can get that. And I understand that. So, but in there, for first outing, I definitely give it a 4 out of 5, easy 4 out of 5, if not 4.5 out of 5, because to give them credit for what the monumental task of what they're really trying to do, to try to bring this to video, it's an incredible first effort. It really is. In all openness, kind of a thing. So I love the first book. I have not read all of the books, only the first one. There are a lot of differences of what I remember, kind of a thing. And then, but I get that. I get the whole, I understand they're trying to do what they can with what they have. So, okay, there's my not so quick overall review.
Okay. So, me coming into this and not knowing a thing about it whatsoever, I thought it had interesting world building. A little confusing at times, but good world building. The characters I thought were very interesting. I like the powers, and I like the development of the powers. I thought that was cool. They're again, I don't want to say what lowers my score for me yet because that gets into spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just this one thing that brings my score down. So
Okay,
I am
we'll talk about
going
that.
to give this a 3.5 Aes Sedai's.
Okay.
Yeah. For the most part, I really enjoyed it, but there's something that annoys me that I wish they wouldn't have done in this first season. Maybe not even at all in the whole series, but we'll
Okay.
get into that. We'll get into that.
Okay. Sure.
All right. So, do we want the spoiler alert?
All right. Let's do the spoiler alert, and I'll post the spoilers are starting.
All right. Since it's not Star Wars,
Right. Right. We're doing Ghostbusters siren. Here it comes.
I love that. All right, we are in spoilerific territory now.
All right. Well, okay. So to set this up, and I probably should have done this in the first part. Let me tell you what the premise of the show is. Okay.
Okay.
Now this is the show, not the book. The Wheel of Time follows Moraine, a member of the Aes Sedai, a powerful organization of women who can channel the One Power. With her warder, Lan, she seeks a group of 5 young villagers from the secluded Two Rivers, believing one of them is the reincarnation of the dragon, an extremely powerful channeler who broke the world. The dragon reborn is prophesied to either save the world from a primordial evil known as the Dark One or break it once more.
Mm,
So that's a fair premise. For me, in the first book, I thought it revolved more around the who the dragon was going to become, which
right.
is of the characters, that's Rand. Rand al'Thor. Rand is the dragon. Is the dragon reborn?
Now, I have to
Um,
say, coming into this and not knowing the books, but learning as we went along that he is the Dragon Reborn, because we do find
mhm.
that out by the end of the season.
Right
Um,
at the end of 7. The end of 7, you find out.
yeah, right. Yeah, it takes you all the way through. Which I have to admit, going through the whole series, Brendan and I both thought that the Dragon Reborn was actually a combination of all 5 of the characters.
The way they're playing it, I could see that. In the way they're introducing it, they're making it seem like there's something about all of the characters
Right.
together.
Now, the way the last episode went,
Hmm.
I do believe that Rand. It is Rand. I'm gonna, man. I am going to trample all over their names.
That's
Okay.
okay. Just say Rand.
Okay. It is let out that he is the Dragon Reborn, and I
Hmm.
do believe that's the case. And I knowing that, I do think the series should have focused a little more on him, and a little less on the I don't want to say witches because I don't really call them witches. The women,
Just Aes Sedai. Just
the
the
Aes
Aes
Sedai,
Sedai in the
a little
politics
less,
of the Aes Sedai.
right? A little less on the Aes Sedai and more on him because he is supposed to be our hero, and they really play him down a lot, honestly. Um,
Yeah. And I don't know if that was just part of the, hey, let's try to get everybody guessing who it may be. People who may not know the story.
Now that's a possibility. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. The the book, in my opinion, follows Rand. I
Okay.
mean, it follows all the kids. And what's interesting is in the first book, they're only like 14 or 15. And
Yeah, they make him out to be much older in
like in their
this,
20s.
right?
Yeah.
Because I
Like
mean, like
teens.
the one guy, the one that seems to have the power of the over the
The wolf.
wolves.
The wolf. Mhm.
He was
Mhm.
married, so. But then
Yeah,
again,
that's
going
not in
into
the book.
oh, it's not? Okay.
Uh-uh. Nope.
But then
No.
going into, like, a medieval time, they could be teenagers and be married too, so
Yeah.
that wasn't
Yeah.
uncommon for that time period, so, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you could look at
The
it that way.
Yeah, the wolf part with Perrin, um, you get indications of that through the first book, and it's really good. I really liked it in the book. I was like, "Whoa!" And I thought they did a really nice job with it in the TV series.
I
Um,
liked him a lot in this TV series, and
mhm,
I liked what we're seeing of the development of the power so far.
mhm.
But I've I tend to lean toward wolves is one of my favorite animals. Okay,
Okay, all
wolves
right.
and sharks. I like the predators. What can I say? Um, uh, and I like very dominant predators, and wolves and sharks are very dominant predators. Um,
Okay.
I remember years and years ago, we were trying to get into a role playing game of werewolves. Actually, never really got into it though. But I have this
Mhm,
fascination with dogs, wolves,
mhm.
especially wolves. I love wolves. I love huskies, so because they kind of
Okay.
resemble a wolf in a way.
Yes,
So
yes.
so I like this character a lot. I think he's a cool character, and I would like to see more of his development
Mhm.
as the
You
series
will.
goes on.
You will. They're all important to the
Sure,
story.
sure.
They really are. That's why the books are so huge, is because it's not just one character that you're following. You're following a bunch, and the interweaving of their stories
Right.
and all. So yeah. Um yeah, so that's just a quick spoiler on here's the end. It's Rand. For me, episode 7 was good. I enjoyed episode 7. Episode 8 overall was kind of like, that's not how I remember the end of the book. But in all
Okay.
fairness, Robert Jordan, it does end abruptly. I've always equated the book version of the ending to be very much like Star Wars Episode 1, where they blew up the command ship, and all of a sudden all the droids were powered down, kind of a thing.
They are brokey.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of how the book ends. It ends real quick. And I was watching Daniel Green is a guy who's a big Wheel of Time fan. He's a YouTuber, and sometimes I'll watch his stuff. And I was interested to get his thoughts and on the some of the Wheel of Time, and even Brandon Sanderson, who finished the series for Robert Jordan, because Robert Jordan passed away in 2007.
Yeah, I
Um,
wanted you to get into that a little bit since you know a little more about the history of the books and stuff. So you were telling
yeah,
that who was the author of the series?
Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, so Brandon Sanderson wrote how many of the books?
So okay, so let me. I'll tell the whole story, but
Okay.
Brandon Sanderson gives his point of view as well. He gives his thoughts as well. I didn't get a chance to watch that, so they did a live thing with that. So here's what happened. If I remember right, um, the let me see here. I've got my thing up to remind me. I'm looking at the names of the books and trying to remember which ones. I think it was. Um, I know it was the last 3 for sure that Brandon Sanderson did all of them. And originally, when Robert Jordan did the series, he planned it to be like 12 or 13 books, and he was now this is the 1990s, the early 1990s is when they began. Um, he would write for he was kind of like a ghostwriter for some of the Conan the Barbarian books, and this is Robert
Oh,
Jordan. And he was looking at some of the stuff about some of the fantasy books that were out there, and I remember him telling his uh, copywriter, who was actually, I think, was his wife. They got ended up getting married, kind of a thing. I think that's the story. Harriet McDougall was her name. I don't. Did they ever get married? Gosh, I can't remember now. Age. I hate age. Um, so he said I could do this better.
age is better than the alternative, though.
Right. That's true. Um, he made a comment saying that he could do this. He could write some of the stories that were out there. He was like, I could do these better. I could create my own story and my own epic, and I could do really well with it.
Right.
And so he started to, and that's where we get Eye of the World. And what happened is in 2007 he passed away. He ended up getting he ended up getting some kind of, or he had some kind of disease or something very rare, something super rare, and he wasn't able to finish it.
Gotcha.
And so when he passed away, Brandon Sanderson was very much influenced by the work of Robert Jordan. Brandon Sanderson, great guy. If you catch his videos online, he's very down to earth, humble kind of guy. He's Mormon, and he sometimes teaches. You can get his writing classes online. He does them for free. Like when he teaches at the Utah school, the university and stuff, he puts them online. Well, parts of them on writing. Just down to earth, nice guy. So he wrote, when Robert Jordan passed away, he wrote a eulogy. He wrote just a nice little piece about just who he was and what he, just his influence and that kind of a thing. Well, Jordan's widow, Harriet McDougall, read it and was influenced by it. And based upon what he wrote in there, now Sanderson was a young writer, and she was like, hey, I think this guy can finish the work, kind of a thing.
Right.
And so conversation started, and he gets asked to finish the Wheel of Time series. And
That's pretty cool.
It is. And so when he tells the story briefly. I'm trying to remember all this because when I started reading the first book, I was totally into it. I loved it so much. I was like, I got to find out the whole story, the behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. What's interesting is if I remember this correctly, he stated his world building pages. Okay. So all his notes, all his scribbles of who's who, where's where, what's what, and the detail that even Jordan put into his writing about what do the clothes look like down to the toggles, just the detail.
So would you say it was a J.A.R. Tolkien type, details? Because Tolkien is hard to read, in my opinion, anyway. He's a fantastic writer, but man, Tolkien can spend 10 pages explaining a blade of grass.
Right?
No offense to him, like he's written the Lord of the Rings series, and it's held up as one of the greatest fantasy series of all time. So
yeah, so how I equate that is, as J.R. Tolkien is probably the grandfather of fantasy. I mean, he really developed and created that genre, and that's my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you totally.
I think Jordan became the father of modern fantasy, and I think Sanderson is now the one today who is taking that forward. And so I do believe that Tolkien inspired Jordan, and Jordan definitely inspired Sanderson. Mm-hmm.
Sanderson. Gotcha.
So Sanderson's, he's in the middle of his big epic. I think he's 4 or 5 books in now. I have the first book, and I also have it on Audible. Yeah, you know how we talked about Eye of the World is 30 hours long Audible?
Mm-hmm.
Way of Kings, Sanderson's first book, is 45 hours, and I haven't even started it. It's huge. I haven't even started it yet. So it's really fascinating. So Sanderson, it was so interesting how he, there was so much work. So of all these pages, we were joking before the show, there's 4.4 million words in the whole series. It's 14 books. Technically, there's another book. And so it was. I was like, "Holy cow!" The world building is twice as much. The way
Wow.
Sanderson describes it, it's twice as much. It's huge. So
Wow.
yeah. So
So we
all
just
these
had somebody
notes.
chime in, Teresa Simon. Is she correcting us on the pronunciation of Veshik?
I
How?
do not know.
Okay, because she chimed in Vastech.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if she's telling us we were pronouncing something wrong or what. Anyway,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So, in all, do you prefer the books or do you prefer the television series?
So each one is good in its own right. Does that make sense?
No, I think
So
that's fair.
if you really got into the story and you're like, man, I really want to know all the details,
Hmm.
then and if you're a reader, because then read the books. If you are not a reader, the books are daunting, and I'm not a reader. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's why I had to move to Audible. So,
See, I don't know if I could read them or not. I mean, I got to super get into it. I like to read. I do enjoy reading, but
mhm,
I really got to get into a book in order to keep my attention like that. So, um, I mean, the TV series might be the better way for me to go, but then again, I'm hearing a lot of things that I'm like, oh, well, that sounds a little bit better, from the book side of things. So, I don't know.
mhm.
Maybe an audio would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I know you're really into Star Wars books and stuff like that, and you're my go-to guy on the Star Wars books. I
And
would
I don't
say
know everything about the Star Wars books because that universe is
it's
so
ginormous.
yeah. And I tend to play more in the legend side. Well, now it's the legend side more than I play into the canon side of Star Wars.
Mhm,
But I do have my canon side of Star Wars that I enjoy of the books too. Like
right,
I'm trying to keep up with the Thrawn books because those are my favorites. But
right.
but
Um, I'd say, how shall I say this? Because you enjoyed the series, the TV series, okay, in general, I mean, you enjoyed it and stuff like that. We'll get into more of that here in a minute. Because you enjoy that, I would say just stick with that because the books are so detailed and there's so much more to it. It may, it's kind of like the Harry Potter movies. I read most of the Potter books, and I really got frustrated with the TVs or the movies because I was like, "Oh, dude, you left out this part, and it's so integral to the story," And I'm forgiving for the most part on, hey, there's so much in a book you can't get it into a show or to a
right, yeah,
movie,
sure. I agree
but
with that.
there are some things, even within Wheel of Time, I was like, dude, why did you leave that out? That was an important part of the story.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, well, I just stick with a TV series and go from there
Okay.
because I know you've got all these Star Wars books that you're trying to
Now,
read too.
see, my daughter's big time into Harry Potter, and she's read all the books. She's watched all the movies.
Hmm.
In fact, several Christmases ago, we ended up buying her all of the Harry Potters on Blu-ray, and
Nice.
we actually watched all of them like in I don't know a couple weeks span or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
And for the most part, I really enjoyed the Harry Potter movies for the most part. But we
Uh-huh.
got down to the last two, which I know was a two-parter. And I didn't like the last two as much as I did the other movies.
Hmm.
I don't know. I felt they went in a darker direction with that part of the story that I didn't felt that I didn't feel um, matched with the rest of the series. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Um,
So
and I also didn't think that Hermione should have ended up with what's his face.
Ron.
Yeah, I didn't think they should have ended up together. I think she should have ended up with Harry.
Oh. And that's all for another show.
Yeah, that's a different show. Totally different show. Just saying. I wanted to get it in there.
Right. So I just My opinion is if you really don't have time for the books, because the books are a commitment. I mean, you're looking at Eye of the World at being 29, 30 hours just to listen to. Now,
Dude,
if
do
you're
you
a
know how many Star Wars books I got to read?
Right, right. So, well, we'll stick with that. Maybe I'll go through and I'll go through these and get ready for next year or whatever for the next Wheel of Time. But
Well, now one of the things I wanted to comment that I'm hearing about the books is
yeah,
it says that the Aes Sedai, they in the books everything revolves around color. So each one of them have a different color.
they have a
Uh,
different role. Hmm.
right. And they really didn't play into that at all in the TV series. And that was one of the criticisms I'm hearing from book fans of this series
Hmm.
versus television series, that they're like, no, you should have incorporated the color. But now that brings about a question, technical level of, would that be too much on the screen, so on
Hmm.
and so forth. I personally, hearing about it, was a little intrigued and thought, well, that might have added to it, but there may be
Hmm.
something to the technical aspect of that also. So,
In all fairness, I thought they did a nice job in the TV series bringing it out. So they did show they wore different colors. There was a different purpose behind the colors, whether it was,
oh yeah,
or knowledge or healing, you know, they did bring that out. Now in the first book, I don't remember it being so pronounced in the first book, because the first book is really here's these kids from this little town in Edmondsfield, and all of a sudden they're having their yearly celebration, like I imagine it kind of like a harvest celebration. What I think it was called Bell Time, and they didn't quite explain it really well in the TV series, but um, all of a sudden it gets attacked by Trollocs, and how did they get there, and all that kind of stuff. And, and then here's these kids that have to take this journey, and they're trying to get to the Aes Sedai capital, or their location, where
right.
they're at.
The White
And it's
Tower.
all about that journey. And so they introduced some more things. Again, as I said, I think they brought in more stuff from the books later on, books to try to introduce, to get people ready for more of the storytelling and world building. I
Okay.
would assume that they'll go more into detail about the colors later on, but there's only so much you can do.
Sure.
It's like, imagine, Lord of the Rings, you don't get as much, they try to create these books, and there's some characters they just totally left out in the movies. And again, it's just, you do the best you can with the time you have, and the rules on trying to create those TV worlds, movie worlds, kind of a thing. You can only do so much. So I thought they did a nice job of introducing it. I didn't like how the season opened, kind of a thing. It kind of introduced them with the Aes Sedai and stuff like that. And there's a guy who can channel, and I think it did a nice job of saying men who channel kind of go crazy. I get that.
Yeah, they alluded to that. Yes.
Yeah. And so in the lore behind that, I don't know the full lore, but just know it got tainted by the evil one for men. For if men channeled it, they would go crazy. And so there's a whole lot to that. There's just a whole lot of lore, even in the first book. And I think they tried to do the best they could to try to, let's tell a story, and we'll do different parts along the way. So, like, for example, the beginning. So if you remember at the beginning of episode 8, there's a discussion with, you find out who is the dragon reborn, and they show the picture of, or excuse me, the dragon. Well, he was reborn too, but they show
Right.
the world, and there's flying vehicles, there's the sci-fi component and stuff like that. And it's like 3 to 5,000 years before
Right.
where we're at today.
Right. And when that scene came up, I told Brenda, I go, look at everything in the scene. Look at their clothing, look at the furniture, Look at the city. I said you're looking at a much more technologically advanced culture 3,000 years before what we're watching in this season.
Right.
And I said, and
Right.
then she makes granted, everything is in, done in a different language, and it's done uh, through, yeah, subtitles. Thank you. Subtitles.
Yes.
It's done through subtitles. And she makes the comment that something could set them back 1,000 years. So,
yeah. So, yeah, the whole thing with the Dragon Reborn is there's always these prophecies of, he will either rebuild the world or he'll destroy it, or kind of a thing. The original dragon is the guy who they're referencing that you get to see at the beginning of 8. Eye of the World begins with a prologue of him going crazy and what happens, and how he broke the world, kind of a thing, or something like that. It is, if I remember correctly. The prologue is really intense. It's really good. And the just this, it's not really spoilers. Well, we're doing spoiler talking.
We're in spoiler territory, so
but this is kind of a book thing. So what happens at the beginning is he goes crazy. He ends up, well, he does some stuff that doesn't realize that he's doing, going crazy. It upset once he realizes what happens. He's getting taunted by some of the Forsaken, the Dark One stuff, and so he kind of gives his life, kind of a thing, and he kind of explodes, for lack of a better term. And I'm not telling it. I know those who are big fans are probably yelling at me right now. But all of a sudden, there's what's called the Dragon Mount. And that Dragon Mount happened after kind of he exploded. So when he exploded, a mountain appeared, kind of a thing. And that's what you see in the background of the Aes Sedai castle. That big mountain, the Dragon Mount.
Okay.
So that's him. So do you remember at the beginning of, I think it was episode 7, where you see this pregnant lady who's just kicking butt and stuff? So there's a whole lore about that, of who she was a part of, who she was. That just
Now,
these
see,
women fighters.
I kind of took it that she was actually the mother of what's his face, the Dragon Reborn.
She is Rand al'Thor's mom. And then you find out that Rand al'Thor's dad was that soldier that found her at the and took care of the baby because she died.
Right. Okay.
Now, that location is there on Dragon Mount. Where all of that occurs is right there on Dragon Mount.
Okay.
And that's the prophecy, and that the new dragon would be reborn there, kind of a thing. So
does the mother and father know that he is the Dragon Reborn?
I don't think so. You don't get that from the first book, kind of a thing. So yeah. So
well, I didn't quite get that from the TV series either. Not Bio-Dad.
Not Bio-Dad. Yeah, it is not his biological father. That is correct. And I'm sure they probably reveal later on who the biological father is or something like that. But his dad, yeah, he's got a excuse me, sorry. So his adopted dad, just a great man, and he has his own story too. It's just everyone has a story. The amount of work that Robert Jordan put into each character is phenomenal. Some of these writers, we think, oh, they're just writing these books, but some of these writers for these fantasy things have world building that they create. It's almost like a catalog, a dictionary of all these things that they put into to help them as they're writing their story and organize it. It's crazy.
So I want to get into my complaint.
Okay, what's your complaint?
We seen, I think, at least 3 times where major characters literally died and then were immediately brought back to life. I have an issue with this. I don't like this. Steven, did I lose you? I think I just lost Steven.
Hey,
So,
it's coming back. Sorry,
there. That's
my
right.
internet's.
Oh yeah, your internet is low. So yeah, my big complaint was that these characters, I think there were 3 of them that actually died and then were almost instantly brought back to life. Um, to me, this is a major problem because you you're not giving any weight to the characters, in my opinion. Because oh Steven just went out. So I'll just continue with this a little bit while he comes back in. So
I'm back.
there you're back.
I'm
Okay.
back. Sorry. Good night. Okay.
I don't know how much of that you heard.
Yeah, I heard the part where the 3 characters died and then they came back, and you don't like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I don't like that because I think that that takes away some trust from me as a viewer that, they're taking these characters seriously. There's no weight to these characters then, because at any time they could just die and then come back to life. There's no payoff. You know what I mean? Um, okay, let's take it back to a series I know well. Let's go to Walking Dead.
Okay.
Walking Dead is very well known for killing off major characters, and when they die, they die. They're not coming back, and you know it. And it
Right.
tends to weigh emotionally on the viewers. Um,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
this is a way this hurts your series when you just because you just know, oh well, the character died. Oh, don't worry, in 10 minutes they'll be back. No big deal. And I know they do that a lot in comic books. We've seen it many times in comic books, but it's slightly different with a superhero. You know, uh,
So give me an example. Mhm.
I'm sorry you cut out there, Stephen.
I did. So give me an example. Give me an example of one.
Of one of the characters that died in this.
Yes, that came back, died and came back.
Well, okay, we'll take. Oh, see, I don't know the
Just as
characters' names well. The 2 girls out of our 5 main characters. Um, the one she dies in the last episode, and then the other girl like heals her on the spot immediately. And I don't know. I just think that takes away from it,
okay.
and that was part of my reason for making this a lower score.
Okay. So the stakes of the characters are
I think it would be better
ambiguous.
if you teased that they were about to die,
Uh-huh.
and then later came in and said, yeah, they survived it, rather
Mhm.
than actually having them die and then just automatically
Get
being
healed
brought
and
back.
come back. I
Right.
agree with you. I don't remember that being part of the story in the first book. Um, I could be wrong about that, but as I remembered
From the
it,
YouTube videos I watched, they said no, that is not a part of the story in the book. And
yeah,
and then when she used her power to actually heal, the one video I was watching, she said that is not the way her powers work. That is
yeah,
not that is not stipulated in the books that her powers could actually do that. So
yeah,
that was something they done just for the TV series. And I just think I don't think you should do that. I it turns me off a little bit because I'm like,
mm,
yeah, okay, well they died, but who cares? They're gonna come right back, you know.
right,
And
right.
you do it once, okay, that's forgiving. But
Mhm,
once you've done it multiple plot times in the same season, yeah, it gets redundant and you shouldn't do it. That is
mhm.
lazy story writing right there. So
Okay, all right. I'll
that's
give you
my
that.
critique. That is my critique.
I like. No, I like that. In all openness, I'll have to agree with you because at the beginning where Nynaeve gets taken off by the Trollocs, I was like, "Oh,
Right?
what just happened?" Um, was that? Let me double check something real quick. There was, yeah, Nynaeve was the wisdom, the girl that played the wisdom, where she gets taken off by the Trollocs. I'm thinking, I was like, she's got a big part to play in this story. What's
Right.
going on? And then with her showing her abilities, I don't remember that in the book with the Dragon Reborn, or
Mhm.
the guy who they call the dragon, the false dragon, kind of a thing.
Right.
The guy,
Yeah.
and
It was
he
interesting.
it was good. That was a great scene. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the scene. Lan gets his throat cut, and then she's like, no, and heals him, kind of a thing. Everybody
Right.
else, kind of thing.
Right.
Almost everybody else. I think he was almost dead. I don't think he was dead. Um,
The Princess Bride. He
as soon as I said it, that's where my brain went.
he's mostly dead. He's
He's
mostly dead.
mostly dead. He's not all dead,
He said true love. He said true love.
right? Right. So,
Brenda said, "Yeah, she's the one who died." Yep.
yeah. Well, Egwene was the one who died at the end. No. Nynaeve died. You're right. She's right. Nynaeve died at the end, and then
Right.
Egwene brought her back. And for those who are saying, yeah, that's not her powers, the whole first book is them just finding out who they are in realizing that there's something special about them, and yet they all have some kind of part to play, but you don't know what it is. There's a lot of intrigue in it
Right.
and stuff. Um, so yeah, I would say, I'll agree with you. I understand that. That's a valid point about, well, people are dying and coming back, kind of a thing. So
Well,
it
like I
was
said,
interesting.
I think I could be a little more forgiving if it just happened like once during the season, but we seen it like
Mhm.
3 times, and I'm
Mhm.
like, that's redundant. It just I don't know. It takes away from it in my opinion.
If you do it once, okay, that's fine. But
Right. I
every
think
time,
that's fair.
yeah, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about one thing. One of the other changes that I realized was because of what was happening with the show production. But Matt, what do you think of Matt's character? He was the guy who stole the knife, and the knife kind of possessed
Oh
him.
yeah, yeah.
Remember?
I mean, in the beginning, I don't know. I was kind of about him, but as we went along, you can tell he's got this dark side.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's partially because of the knife and what the knife has done to him, or if
Let's say.
he actually does have a dark side in him. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that added something interesting to his character as we went along.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I want to see where he goes. And again, does that play into our thinking of it's going to take all 5 of them and their powers? I mean, where does he play in with that? Because it seems like
Mhm.
if he has any powers, they're more falling on the dark side. I, I say dark
Mhm.
side to be, for lack of term here. Not
I
not comparing it to Star Wars.
Right. We'll just say dark side. There's the dark one,
Right. Well, yeah, we have the dark one. That's true.
who's yeah, who is in all openness kind of like the father of lies. He's the guy who's, in our culture with Christianity, you would call him the devil, kind of a thing. He's the one who's manipulating stuff all throughout the whole series.
Now,
And
about the dark one, the
Mhm.
one that goes up against, again, I don't know their names, Rand and yeah, I said
Moraine.
that, Moraine.
Mhm.
The one that goes up against him, he isn't actually the dark one.
No,
He's
he's not.
okay. He's kind of like a
He's one of the Forsaken. So if
so
you've seen,
if we were playing a video game, he would
uh
be the one you have to get to the big boss. You have to get
right,
through him to get to the big boss.
right, right.
If we were
He-
playing video
he-
games.
yes, yeah. He's the boss before the big boss.
Right. Okay.
Um, the He is one of the Forsaken, and you get a glimpse in the first when the one Aes Sedai dies, and her warder, or her protector, that guy was really sad, and he was saying this prayer, and this old prayer, and it was really about
Yeah. Okay.
protection. Well, all those little figures were representations of the Forsaken. The Forsaken are kind of like, if you, in Lord of the Rings, you have Sauron, who's the big bad, and he had the Nazgul, who were the human riders, the guys who were human, who ended up becoming they rode the little dragons, and they were, had the blades, and the really creepy guys going after the ring, kind of a thing. They're
Right.
knights, for lack of a better term. That's kind of how the Forsaken are. They're guys who have given up their lives to have eternity, um, but they're kind of tied to the Dark One, kind of a thing.
Right.
Um, we see Rand in the book. Rand battles one of them in the book, and we before he. It's funny that you mentioned that, before he meets, the Dark One, kind of a thing. So it's really, there's this whole realm of, they kind of introduce it a little bit about um the dream world, and we think sleep and dreams, but it's a little different than that. And it's kind of like
Well, yeah,
being an out of
they're
body experience.
right. They kind of have moments of that in these episodes where,
Hmm.
Rand, when he has that moment where he pictures himself with the one girl, and they're married, and they have the daughter, and it's like, almost like the perfect scenario for him and everything.
Hmm.
And then he realizes, wait a minute, none of this is real, and he's actually asleep. And then she's holding him with the knife to his neck, telling the evil, well, he's not the evil one, but the whatever his name is, anyway, the bad guy.
What was his name? Hang on a second. His name, Ishmael. Ishmael.
Ishmael.
Yeah.
When she's telling Ishmael, if he doesn't choose the right path, I'm going to choose it for him, saying
Right.
she's gonna slit his neck.
She's gonna
So
kill him.
right. So
Mhm. She doesn't want to risk the world breaking again and going back, 1,000 years, kind of a thing.
but so yeah, we get those moments of the quote unquote sleep, where they're asleep and they're seeing
Hmm.
these different things in almost different worlds and stuff. So, and we even see that with her, because she's asleep at some points of this too. So, and I thought those were interesting. I like
Yeah,
those.
it's a big deal within the realm, within the storytelling, that there is this whole part of that supernatural dream world, kind of a thing, which is a big deal. And also, yeah. So, and you saw the way the cinematographer tried to show that in episode 8 was what was happening in the room at Eye of the World, and then also in the dream world at the same time.
Yeah,
Kind of the and that was okay. That was neat and stuff. I just remember it being so different in the book,
right.
and how it all played out. So, and the more I think about it, the more I'm getting over myself on, oh, it's not like the book, you know, and just enjoying it for what it is. And that's why I really want to get your opinion on it all, because, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch it, because I really wanted to see, okay, here's someone who hasn't read the book. What did you think about the story? What did you think about what you saw? Because my first concern was, like we've talked about in some other things, on, if you don't know the lore, was it hard to pick up what was going on as the story progressed?
Well, now, okay, being a Walking Dead fan, now I went into Walking Dead, not really knowing anything about the books. I hadn't read the books. I didn't start Walking Dead until a couple of years after The Walking Dead had gotten really popular. And I
Hmm.
just happened to be, I was looking for something to watch on TV. I found Walking Dead, and I'm like, all right, everybody's raving over this show. Let's see what it's all about. And I watched the first episode, and I was hooked right away. I'm like, this is really intriguing. I like the story. I'm like, okay, so it's hooked me in. and I've continued with it. I have read the books. I mean, the graphic novels, the comics.
Mhm.
I've read the. Oh, I have read a couple of the novels too, by the way, and it's interesting in the Walking Dead world. Even the novels differ from the comic books, which differ from the TV series. They all have different interpretations of what's going on.
Mhm.
Sometimes certain characters, like for instance, Daryl is one of the most popular characters in the TV series, and he's never even in the comics. The character's not even in the comics at all. You know,
Oh.
and the comics are intensely popular. They're
Mhm.
huge. Um, but I read the comics, and again, I was a big fan of the comic too. But I'm like, I can see a value of the TV series being different from the comic books, in the fact that if you read the comics, I had an idea because I started when I started reading the comics, I actually got caught up to where I was in the television series, and
Mhm.
I would get to points, and I'm like, oh, these guys are coming up in the TV series. So if you read the comics, you kind of know what's going to happen. But
Okay. Okay.
but the good thing about the TV series where they change it is if you're a fan of the comics, then you may not totally know what's coming. 'Cause it's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
well, yeah, that's coming, but it's a different take on what happened." And they might do it a little differently, and they might change a
Mm.
character here and there. So, I think there's some value to not having it exactly like the books.
Okay.
And again, I'm coming into this not reading the books, I'm not a fan of the books of Wheel of Time, so again, I don't have a dog in the fight there. But but Brenda put multi-universes. I don't look at the killing, I don't look at, Walking Dead as multiverse, though. I just look at it different interpretations.
As a different interpretation of the
Yeah,
story.
it's
And
a little different than Marvel and DC, where those are definitely multiverses. And I
Mhm.
would think this book series I would look at this very similar to the way I look at Walking Dead is, yeah, you're going to take the basic premise from the books, but you're going to slightly change it so you
Mhm.
give the viewers something to anticipate and not expect everything that's in the book. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
I
I
think
like
that's
that.
one way to look at it. And I know there are book readers out there who are like, no, I read the book and I want the book. I want the television series exactly like the book.
Yeah.
I get it, but I think there's some values to be said there. So
I
and that's all I've got to say about that.
that's all I got to say about that. I would say that it goes back to headcanon, where we talk
Yes.
about, you know, and I think for some, they've created this head canon and they don't want to mess with it. And they're like,
Yeah,
they've pictured everything.
I
But,
understand that too. I understand that
yeah.
too.
And I think for me, I've only read one book. So I'm not
Well,
super
you're not
invested.
married to your head canon yet.
I'm not married to my head canon.
So
That's right.
your head canon could actually incorporate both the books and the TV series as you go along then.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
gotcha.
And so I'm okay. I'm interested to see where they go with it. I do feel like there wasn't, how in movies and stuff, you always have that third act and there's this great build and this great battle and stuff like that. I, I, the reason I didn't give it a full five or anything is because, well, one, it fizzled. I think it fizzled. There wasn't a great big battle fight sequence of seeing, the best fight sequence in the whole thing was the opening episode, and I loved it with
Yeah,
Moraine
yeah.
and the Trollocs were coming, and you got to see her and Lan, her warder
Oh,
fight
that
to
was
get.
very Lord of the Rings feeling there.
Yeah,
I
it was
I
great.
really felt like I was coming into Lord of the Rings there.
Yeah, and I was like, this first episode is great. It's really good. I loved it, and So, and then I was like, well, okay. The story where they go to the um where they go into the empty city. Oh, what was that called? What was that called? What was that called? What was that called? They go to Shodar Logoth. So that's a city that was empty and all the story, kind of a thing. I thought, oh, they did a really nice job with that. That is in the book. Little different. There is a character there in the city that they don't talk about, and I understand why they were trying to leave it out. You just can only do so much.
Right.
But the fact that there's this blade that Matt takes and stuff. Now, another thing about Matt is that actor had to leave the show. I don't know why.
Really?
He actually goes with them in the book. He goes with them to that whole journey through the gates, to the eye of the world thing. And he
through that like the I don't know, that it looked like a
alternate world kind of a thing. Yeah.
that, like destroyed forest is what it looked like to me.
Oh, no. That was
Okay.
the blight. No,
Oh,
the
gotcha.
ways. Where they went through the ways, and it was really dark, and they were, and
Okay.
they were trying to make their way. They were, hopping interdimensional warp speed or something, kind of, kind of a thing.
Right.
That does go with them, if I remember correctly. So, I was like, well,
Oh yeah, the scene that looked very much like what's the TV series? Gosh, where they go through the big ring.
Stargate,
Stargate, yeah. That reminded me of Stargate a lot.
right? Yeah.
Which, by the
So,
way, the star of Stargate is who?
the Stargate.
Yeah, who's the star of Stargate? Who's the starring actor in Stargate?
Oh, MacGyver. Richard Dean
No, the other one. The other one.
Anderson.
The other one. There's
Oh, Michael Shanks.
Thanks for picking up on my joke there.
Right, the TV series. That actually was played by
Right over
James
the
Spader in
head.
the movie. Yeah. That was
Would you
good.
believe I've never actually watched that series?
It's not bad. It's not bad. I watched it. I used to have most of it on DVD.
I have friends who are fans of it, and they're amazed at the fact that I didn't get into it. I'm like, yeah, I just didn't
Right.
get into it,
Yeah,
even though
it's
one of the stars of the show is my namesake.
right. Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
sorry.
So I forgot what I was saying. Probably don't. Oh, the actor. So for some reason the actor had to leave the show. So
He's not going to be in season 2 then?
mm-mm.
Oh,
They've had to recast the character for some reason.
oh.
So that's all I know. That's all. I don't know anything else on that. I don't know any juicy dirt or anything. I don't. There's just some reason.
Well, I'm not worried about Juicy Dirt. It just kind of sucks that he's not coming back. I liked him. I
Yeah,
thought he was a good character. I thought he
I
portrayed
thought
it
he
well.
acted that character great.
Yeah,
Really good.
Yeah, I'm not worried about I ain't worried about the dirt behind that story.
Yeah, I know.
I would just prefer the same actor to come back if it's possible.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
that kind of sucks. I'm kind of bummed by that. Dang.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think he acted it great.
Yeah, Brenda said he played the bad guy well. I agree.
Yeah, Brenda, he did well. Or a guy who was struggling under the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
He was really
I guess we don't really want to call him per se the bad guy because he's not quite that yet.
Right.
I don't know where he's going with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's under the influence of a bad guy. So
yeah,
of the bad guy.
Right. The Trollocs looked great in the opening episode. In the last episode, the big battle, I was like, oh, it's pretty shady, or it's pretty dark. It's hard to see. So, but in the first episode, they looked fabulous.
I thought so too.
The shade was awesome.
Yeah.
Was just great. I
thought the effects of this were done very well. I had seen some complaints online saying, of course, you always see this, oh, it didn't have the great of effects. Well, okay, number one, it's TV, it's not movie.
It's not
So
movie.
TV doesn't get the budget that the movies do,
Mhm.
unless you're Disney. And even Disney TV gets toned down a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, Mandalorian was probably the height of what we're going to get, but that's
Mhm.
because they have the volume, and the volume is probably one of the greatest inventions in movie cinematography as of today. Um,
Mhm.
but I thought the effects were done very well in this show. For a TV series, I was pretty impressed with them. I
I
liked them.
was too.
I thought they looked convincing. You know,
Mhm.
so it would be interesting to have Mark Anthony's take on the effects on this and see what he thinks, being
Oh,
in the
yeah.
industry and stuff, or
I
maybe even Paul Bateman. I'm sure they can
Mhm.
get some great insights on that.
Mhm.
But me, as a viewer and somebody who doesn't have the knowledge in that, I thought it looked well.
Yeah. 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 First episode was a great opening. I think I heard a rumor it was like 10 million an episode.
Wow.
Right, which was huge. People are like, "What?" Or maybe that's for their new Lord of the Rings thing too, because they're Amazon's doing Lord of the Rings as well. So
Yeah, I haven't heard good things about it though.
I don't
We'll
know anything
we'll
about it.
we'll
It'd be
we'll
interesting.
weigh that one as it comes out, and we'll see where it
Yeah,
goes. We'll see where it goes.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. I hope Wheel of Time is able to carry the story through. Really, because it's really, in other words, they get their 8 or 9 seasons out of it, or however many they're going to do. I mean, realistically, you could do one book and have it all. What 14? You could do 14 seasons easy. You could, if they had to do all
Oh,
of
if you
them
were doing like a season
per book.
per book, yeah, but let's be realistic. Is a TV series going to last 14 years? That's pretty rare,
Not life
especially
cycle is
nowadays.
very rare. Yeah, most life cycles 7 years.
I Walking Dead is now, I think, on its 10th season, I want to say.
Yeah, but I've heard Walking Dead's they've already peaked.
Well, Walking Dead's problem is they've overextended themselves because they now have up to 3 series, and yeah, I started watching the other 2. One of them I have no interest in at all anymore. I'm just like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I'm done. I I don't like it. I can't stand it." The other one, when it started, I didn't like it. I didn't care about any of the characters. So, like, when Walking Dead, somebody died in The Walking Dead, it was like, I said, you as a viewer, you get emotionally attached to some of these
Yeah.
characters.
Hmm.
In Fear of the Walking Dead, when it first started, like the first 2 seasons, they were killing off characters, and I'm going, "Yeah, okay, great, let's go on." I I, I didn't care,
Right.
Like, "Oh, well, good. Now we can get somebody better." You know? And that's what they did. They actually did. They brought some of them in from the main Walking Dead, and they actually they kinda reinvented the show in, like, the 2nd or 3rd season, and I was like, "Yeah, I like this better." So, I continued
Hmm.
watching that, but the other one, I don't even remember what it's called now, I could care less. That one I just have no interest in at all. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think Walking Dead is overextending itself,
So
and I
you're
think that's
saying
the problem.
even if Wheel of Time was able to continue, they would have to do it in no more than 10 seasons, if not probably 7 or
I
8.
I think so. I think so. I
Okay.
think you gotta make plans to wrap this up in probably 7 seasons. That's just my
Hmm.
prediction.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, Angie. She just woke up. We're thinking there's a lot of people who just woke up.
well, we didn't start as early as we normally do.
That's true. We did not. Happy New Year's, everybody. Even we needed to sleep in a little.
Yeah, sure. I did tell John Keller that we were gonna be recording this morning. He goes, "On New Year's Day?" Yeah, on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
We're pretty faithful.
Yeah. So I would say for overall, going back, I do appreciate what you said about people dying and then coming back, in the show and stuff like that. Um, I That's good insight. I would say overall, for the first attempt to take such a complicated story or in-depth, not complicated, in-depth storytelling, and try to make it into a TV series, this was a great. This is a great first attempt or beginning. This is a great beginning. It could have been worse. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. I thought the first episode was a great
True.
send up. So, yeah, are you laughing that your wife said she woke you up at 7:30 this morning?
Yeah. She
Yeah.
did. She did. She goes, "Don't you need to be up?" Yeah, I'll get up. I still got up before you did.
You still got up before I did, right?
Yeah, I got up and I made a cup of coffee too.
Yep.
I'm running on 2 cups so far, so.
Yeah. So thank you. I do have to say thank you for taking the time to watch it for me. With me. Thank you for doing that because I know this is not your normal cup of tea.
No, it was okay though. I still enjoyed it, and
Mhm.
the show isn't about everything that I like. I want to make sure we get things that you want to watch too. So when you said
Oh,
I want to do this,
yeah,
I said, okay, well,
yeah,
it sounds like something you're interested in. So yeah, I want to do it too. That sounds good.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I read the first book and of what I remember of it, because it's such a big book, and I read it like last summer. Um, was it last summer? No, it was the summer before. It
Wow.
was the summer before. So it's been a while. I probably should have gotten it ready and stuff. Now we can watch season 4 of Cobra Kai.
Guy, yes.
Okay, yeah, it came out yesterday.
Well, we have to get back into. We got to rewatch Firefly. Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
maybe I shouldn't say that. Let's just put it this way. We need to do Firefly for something coming up.
Yeah. Well, we've got a crossover event coming. You've already mentioned it.
Yeah, but I didn't remember. I didn't mention our subject, so and I don't know if our podcast buddies wanted us to say the subject. So I hope I didn't. I hope I didn't give away anything. But
Oh, we'll be fine.
yeah.
Wait, what? Angie, thank you so much for your post. Angie said, I want to say thank you for both of us to keeping her entertained last year. So thank you. We've appreciated your support and also
And
Angie's been great.
Brenda loves Nathan Fillion.
Yeah. Yeah, my first interaction with Nathan Fillion was Firefly.
Yeah,
So,
I think that was mine also.
yeah, so I'm not
And
going to say anymore.
Then I found out he's the voice of Green Lantern and
Yeah.
a lot of the DC animated stuff, which I was, I loved. I thought that was
Right.
great. So, I'm a fan of his. I'm not as big a fan of his as my wife is,
Yeah.
because she's continued to watch several of his series since Firefly.
Mhm. I've loved Castle.
Yeah, she was a big fan of Castle.
Uh-huh. One Life to Live. I heard that a long time ago. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I'm not a soap opera guy, so
I'm
I
not in the soap
forgot about
opera.
that. And then
We're not talking soaps on this show. Sorry.
you start your own podcast.
Unless it's soap. I'll talk about the original soap with Billy Crystal and the TV series soap. Yeah.
That's woo. The Rookie. I only watched the first 2 seasons of The Rookie, and then I just
She loves The Rookie.
got busy with other things. So
I watch it off and on with her. I'll be like, "Oh, what's going on in this?" And then I'll move on to something else.
Right. That's like my wife Kelly with Grey's Anatomy. She's been keeping up with Grey's Anatomy for a long time.
Okay.
But I don't know if she's really got into this most recent season.
So anyway, we do have a crossover podcast coming with the Nerdery and Murdery podcast, which is a very good podcast. If you haven't,
It really is.
out,
They do a fabulous job.
yes, I recommend checking out their show.
Yep.
And besides that, we're going to be crossing over with them, so you definitely want to check out their show.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. They're a hoot. They're funny.
Good guys.
But they do their homework.
Yeah, they're not like us.
Right.
They actually know what they're talking about.
Right.
All right. Anything else on the Wheel of Time?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. Any other comments? Let us know, or any other questions or anything anybody has to add where we goofed up in our discussions and all that. We're just two guys who happen to watch the show, and I just happened to read the first book a year and a half ago, and hey, let's talk about it. So we probably got some details wrong and stuff like that. But what did you guys think of it? Let us know in the comments. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Are you excited for the second season? Are you not excited for the second season and stuff? I'm going to watch the second season. Hands down, I'll still watch it because I want to see what happens and how they do it. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm definitely going to tune in for the second season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I was turned off a little bit by the whole, let's kill him off, let's bring him back, let's kill him off. But that wasn't enough to go, all right, I'm done with the show. It was just something that I was annoyed with at that time, of it happening. But yeah, again, it's not enough to say, oh, well, I'm done with the show now. So
right.
I have enough investment in some of the characters that I'm like, yeah, we got to see where this goes and see what happens to them.
So which ones would you say are your favorite characters? Like I thought the actor Rosamund Pike with Moraine did a great job. I love the interaction between her and Lan, her warder, and Loyal, the Ogier, the big guy,
the librarian
guy. Yeah, loved him.
I like Rand, whatever his name is. See, again, I like him a lot. I'm really intrigued of where they're going to go with his character. I hope they develop him more, especially since he's the Dragon Reborn. I think you have to. Like I said, I like the guy with the wolf abilities, intentions, whatever it is.
Yes, that's Perrin.
I think he's really interesting.
There's a lot more to that story that is really exciting from my understanding, what I have been told. Yeah, of what he can do. Oh yeah.
And then I think I agree with you. I like what's her name, the Aes Sedai, and her, I don't know, the Asian guy.
Oh, Moraine and Lan.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I think they're really interesting characters. I could follow an adventure just with those two, actually.
The two of them.
Yeah. I think they could do some really cool adventures on their own outside of the main story. I think that would be interesting, and I'd tune in for that. So.
Yep. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you. Thanks so much for doing this. We've already gone almost an hour and a half on this, which is longer than I thought we would do. I should make Chris chat with y'all for the show because he read the books. Oh, yeah. That'll be good. Everybody, that's from Angie. Sorry, I should put that on there and stuff. So, yeah, it would have been good to have him join us because we probably have some questions for him.
Well, maybe season 2.
Right on. Or even as we prepare for season 2, we do get some, spoiler action stuff going on. Okay, what's going on?
All right.
Well, cool beans. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Wow. That's been an hour and a half, and I still don't think we even touched really all of what was all in that show, kind of a thing. So, yeah. So everybody, thanks for joining us. My name is Stephen Foster. I'm your co-host along with Mr. Michael Shanks. We are excited that you join us. And if you want to check out our website, twogeeksmike.com, twogeeksmike.com. If you've hung out with us this far, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We do know a lot of people go back and listen, and we'll have this actually on our podcast next Friday.
Yep.
As well. We just do these live and just have a good time and interact with folks, and then we'll post it later. If you have comments, suggestions, or anything, you can check out our show at twogeeksmike.com. Or are you going to say, Mike? I'm sorry.
And you can always rewatch them on Twitch or YouTube. They're all available there.
They are, by golly. So we're kind of having fun. It's interesting doing this and all. And also check out our Ko-fi page if you want to support us. Ko-fi 2 Geeks. We use that money for our Lamborghinis. I'm just kidding. No, we do it to pay for all the stuff, how much it costs to do all this kind of stuff. Our
I want a Diablo.
You want a Diablo.
Yeah. I want a Diablo.
Right on. We're working on it. So anyway, we're just paying for it. Like our newest thing is to do this restream stuff and also pay for our yearly podcast. And this stuff takes money to do. So if we've been a blessing to you, if you enjoyed it, just buy us coffee. Minimal is $3. And that's kind of the cool thing about that. So, all right. Well, cool beans. Well, thank you so much. And Mike, I'll let you close us out.
All right. With that said, over and out, and may the force be with you. Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,